Welcome to Module 8.5, Order Operations with Real Numbers. So we done order operation back in Module 1 and Module 2 before. So just quickly refresh your memory. Normally when it comes to rules for order operation, we have to do what's inside the parentheses first. And parentheses is inside the bracket, which is inside the brace. All right, the second level is exponents. The third level is multiply or divide from left to right. And the last level is add or subtract. And as I recall mentioning before, the last level where the add and subtract, those addition and subtraction signs are the one that's outside the parentheses. So basically, back in Module 1 and 2, we were using those parentheses to already begin to separate our terms. So when it comes to order operation, we basically do one term at a time. Okay, figure out what each term is, and then we will do this adding and subtracting that are outside the parentheses last. All right, so basically I'm going to do pretty much the same thing as I showed y'all before. So when you look at this whole thing, find the addition and subtraction signs that are outside the parenthesis. So here I see one addition sign outside the parenthesis. So what's in front of it is one term. All right, what's behind the addition sign is one term. But now you know the addition sign go with the term that follows. So my second term has a lot of operation. So let's see. First term, -8, still -8. My second term, okay, I have a division and a multiplication. So when it comes to dividing and multiplying, we just do them from left to the right accordingly. So +8, see, I'm going to start using the signs. +8 divided by -4 is going to be -2. And -2 times the 4 will tell me my second term is -8. So my first term is -8. My second term now is also -8. So these two terms have the same sign. So we will add, which is 16. Since both terms are negative, my answer will be -16. Okay, again, why do we keep the signs when we add mentally? Because if you owe me $8, owe me another $8, now you actually owe me $16. Okay, so it does not make sense to become positive. So if you ever remember the number line your math teacher showed you before in public school, if you're at -8 already, the subtraction sign tells you to keep on going left 8 more places, then you got to reach -16. That's the reason why the answer is still negative, because we are actually going deeper into the negative side, smaller number side, which is left. All right. Let's try this one real quick. All right, find the addition and subtraction sign outside the parentheses. So here I got one of them. All right, so what's in front of it is one term. What's behind it is another term. So once I identify my term, I see my second term, there's a negative sign. There's a negative sign in the parentheses. So how many? So this is actually -1. Okay, this is actually -1 times. All right, it's very important that you know that's a -1 time, because when we do what's inside the parenthesis first for this second term, that will be a 6, right? 4 plus 2 is 6. This is 2 terms in here. All right, still inside the parenthesis, because why? Because I have an exponent on the outside. So what's in front of it is actually a -1 times. So if we know that, then we realize that here I still have 2 operations I need to do, a multiplication and an exponent. So we got to do exponent next. So that means 6 squared. The square is only on top of the 6. So 6 squared is 36. 36 times the -1 that was already up front, because exponent before multiplication, that will actually make my 36 negative. So basically my second term is come out to be -36. My first term in yellow, there's only one operation, which is 21 times negative 3. So positive times negative is negative, which is actually 63. So now these two terms have the same sign, so we will add. That's what my answer, all right, it's going to be negative 99, right? Okay, negative 63 combined with negative 36, my answer is negative 99. All right, I think we just did this one, didn't we? Sure did. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to copy the same one over. All right. Oh, Lord, I sure copied down twice. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's try different ones. All right, this one, looking for addition, subtraction sign outside the parenthesis. So there's only one of them right here. So what's in front of it is my first term. 16, what's behind it is another term. So all these are together as one term. Subtraction sign go with it. So basically my big old second term is negative 1 times 3 squared divided by parenthesis, negative 1 minus 2, then times 3. So inside this big old term, we will do what's inside the parenthesis first, which inside the parenthesis, there is actually a subtraction sign which is separate between the two terms. So that's the reason why negative 1 minus 2 term with the same sign we add, that will actually give me negative 3. All right. And this time, I'm not going to put my negative 3 in the parenthesis because there's no exponent on the outside of it where I need to make sure my negative 3 is inside the parenthesis, because there's really there's really no need for the extra parenthesis here. All right, still times the 3 on the back, still division sign up front, still got this 3 square up front. So if you know the next thing after parentheses exponent, I can just go ahead and say 3 squared is going to be 9. All right, and that 9 is going to get times by the negative 1 up front. Why? Because now once I did the parentheses and the exponent, then that means inside this term, the only operations are left are multiplying and division. So I got to do those from left to right anyway. So I can go ahead and say this 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. All right, so this is still my second term. So only thing I got is multiplying and dividing. So we do this from left to right. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 is going to be a positive 3. A positive 3 times that last positive 3 is going to be positive 9. So by this answer, coming from the second term, I got to have a sign go with that term. The only time I do not write a sign is when the first term is positive. Everybody else got to have a sign. So second term come out to be a positive 9. First term is still going to be that same 16. So this problem but becomes 16 plus 9, which we know is 25. All right. As you can recall, order operation gets interesting when there's no plus or minus signs outside the parentheses or bracket and all that. So technically, this whole problem is only one term, because there's no plus or minus sign outside the parentheses. So let's take a look. All right, I do have a bracket. All right. And outside the bracket, there's a square. So if we look within the bracket, there is a subtraction sign inside the bracket that's outside the parenthesis to separate between two terms. So my first term inside the bracket is 2. My second term got to be behind the subtraction sign, which is going to be negative 2. But the subtraction sign goes with the term that follows. So my second term is actually negative 1 times negative 2. Remember now, square is on the outside. So bracket still there. 2 square still on the outside. First term in the bracket is still 2. The second term is really a positive 2, right? Negative 1 times negative 2 become positive 2. So inside the bracket is 2 plus 2, which is 4. square on the outside, which will give me 16. So if you can do this quick, if you know that's 4 squared is 16, you don't have to write this part. I'm just writing it down for you to see it. So the first term is positive 16. Now it will need to be divided by whatever is coming out of this parenthesis, because inside this parenthesis, there's only one operation. Okay, so that plus sign separate between the two terms. So negative 6 plus 2, term with different sign, we subtract, which subtract 6 and 2 give me a 4. But this time it will be a negative 4 because I got more negative than positive. So this problem actually boiled down to simply 16 divided by negative 4. So positive divided by negative is going to give me a negative answer. 16 divided by 4 is 4. That's why my answer is negative 4. All right, this is a very interesting problem as well because there's no plus and minus sign outside the brackets. Okay, this whole problem is one term. And you can see it right here. There is a big old multiplication sign right here. So let's look within this big old bracket because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So within the bracket, let's see how many plus and minus signs we have that's outside the parenthesis within the bracket. So there's one minus sign, one plus sign. So what that means is in front of the very first minus sign, all right, that's one term in the bracket. Between the subtract and the plus sign, that's another term in the bracket. Behind the plus sign is actually my third term in the bracket, but the plus sign go with the term that follows. So that means my third term here is actually positive 1 times negative 4 divided by 2. Okay, so my third term is the one with two different operations. So let's figure out what this is. Okay, so the 2 that's outside the bracket still there, multiplication still there, bracket still there, square on the outside. So let's see what this third term is. Positive times a negative 4. Positive 1 times negative 4 is actually negative 4. So negative 4 divided by 2 tells me my third term is negative 2. First term still 4. Second term still negative 4. So if you just look at this, this is basically saying 4 minus 4 minus 2. We know 4 minus 4 is zeros. That means there's nothing there. So the only term I have left in the bracket is simply negative 2. So this negative 2 is, or you can say 0 minus 2 is negative 2, either way. All right, 0 is not really a term. Sometimes we do write 0 down, but 0 technically is not a term. 0 means nothing is there. But sometimes we do use 0 as like a placeholder. Okay, we'll do that, especially when we're dealing with long division in algebra. All right, square on the outside times by 2, that's outside the bracket. All right, so exponent first. Negative 2 whole thing squared literally means negative 2 times negative 2, which will give me positive 4. So this positive 4 times the 2 up front, that will give me positive 8. So a lot of students ask, Mr. Chen, when you say positive 4, why don't you write positive 4? Well, because if I write positive 4, okay, without writing the multiplication sign, it looked like 2 plus 4 to me. So that's the reason why, if it's only one term, okay, if it's only one term, I normally don't add extra plus or negative signs within that one term. Unless my 4 is a negative, then I will say 2 times negative 4. Okay, and you will notice I purposely write multiplication. And so when I say it, I say, I don't say plus and minus, I say 2 times positive 4. Okay, but I'm not going to purposely write a positive sign in front of that 4. Okay, because that just causes more confusion sometimes when we do these problems. All right, let's try another one. Okay, again, this problem is very interesting because according to the order operation, we got to do what's inside the bracket. But there's actually, everything is actually one term, to be honest. There's no plus or minus here. All right, so I want you to take a look at where the bracket is. Bracket here to here. And look within the bracket. Within the bracket, there is actually a parenthesis. So this parenthesis, okay, is telling you what's inside that parenthesis. However, this -4 is also in a parenthesis. So the purpose of the extra parenthesis here is to indicating the -4 is negative. Okay, so there's really no need for this extra parenthesis there. All right, so inside the parenthesis, there's only one operation. So that's -48 divided by -4, which negative divided by negative is a positive. That'll be a positive 12. So what's coming out of the parenthesis is a 12. Now that will need to be divided by 3. Well, I'm still within the bracket, still getting divided by 3. And in front of that, 48 will divide. All right. So if you kind of look at this, you know 48 eventually will divide by 3 and then divided by whatever's in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say 48 divided by 3 is 16. The 16 will end up dividing by whatever coming out of the bracket, which is positive 4. So now 16 divided by 4 will just be 4. So if you do it this way, it kind of saves you one extra line right here. Because some student will say, oh, 48 divided by 3 divided by 4. Okay. And then they will say 40 divided by 3 is 16, and 16 divided by the last 4 is 4. Okay. Either way will work. I just don't, I normally just don't write as much for the students, because I want to train you how to do some of these things just by looking at them, so you don't have to keep on writing the same thing over and over. All right, let's check out this one right here. Ooh, this is a big old problem. I do see one subtraction sign outside the bracket right here. So my very first term of this whole problem is -5. All right, no operation. So this -5 will be up front the whole time. Now what's interesting is everything behind the subtraction sign. All these guys are one term. So the subtraction sign go with the term that follows. So basically, my big old second term is -1 times all these things inside the bracket, then divided by -6 at the very end. All right, so let's take a look at this big old term. This big old term has a bracket, so let's focus on the bracket. Bracket is from here to here. So within the bracket, I do see one subtraction sign outside the parentheses. So that makes 6 as the very first term in the bracket. I'm going to write it down. All right. My second term in the bracket is -1 times, okay, all the stuff in here. So within the parenthesis, there is a subtraction sign. So first term in the parenthesis is that. Second term is this. So if you can do this in your head, that would be super awesome. So you don't have to keep on writing stuff down. The more you write, the easier mistake you make. Okay? All right, I did not mean to write this -1. I don't know why I did that. My first term is a positive 6 inside the bracket. Sorry about that. All right, so inside the parenthesis, first term, -2 times 4 is -8. -8 minus 4, term with the same sign we add. So that will give you -12. But remember now, this -12 what's in front of it has a -1 times. So that's why I keep it in the parenthesis. So you can see the -1 times the -12 will tell me the whole entire second term is nothing but positive 12. Okay? So all these guys right here are the second term in the brackets. Okay? All right, so don't forget now on the this whole entire second term of the original problem still got divided by -6 on the back end. So let's figure out what's inside the bracket. 6 plus 12 is 18. So this 18 times by the -1 times in front of it will be -18. All right, so the -18 divided by -6 will tell me that's a positive 3. So my second term, this big old yellow second term, turns to be positive 3. I'll just highlight this. This was still my second term. This was my second term, positive 3. Now remember, now the very first term was negative 5 with no operation in that term. So that's still negative 5. So now, term with different sign, we subtract my answer, negative 2. All right, that's all it is. All right, let's take a few minutes, go over the fraction ones. So these are basically just like very similar ones as we done before back in module 2. I do see a subtraction sign here outside the parenthesis though. So I am going to say in front of it is one term. My second term is just now not just 4 over 5 divided by 6 over 10, but negative 4 over 5 divided by 6 over 10. So I'm going to do each term here on the side, just get away from the main body of the problem. By the way, within one term, we can always reduce top and bottom. Okay, so 2 over 6 can be reduced into 1/3. If you want to go ahead and do that, you may. I'm just going to go ahead and say divided by 2/3 means times by the reciprocal, 3 over 2. Either way, top 2, bottom 2 reduced into 1 and 1. Top 3, bottom 6 reduced by 3. That would be 1 and 2. So my first term, none but a half. My second term, negative 4 over 5 divided by a positive is going to give me a negative answer. So my second term will be negative. I'm just going to focus on the division now. So 4 over 5 divided by 6 over 10 means times the reciprocal, 10 over 6. Now, if you want to go ahead and reduce them up and down like this, you can do that. Or you can go ahead and times by the reciprocal and reduce. You just cannot take the 6 reduced to 5 because technically the 6 will actually not be on top. So that's the reason why 6 and 10 can reduce up and down like that. Because now my 10, once I flipped it, my 10 can reduce with a 6 over the 5. So if my 10 and 6 could be reduced now, I could have reduced it earlier up and down like that. All right, so if I reduce 10 and 6 by 2, that will give me a 3 right here and a 5 up here. And the 5 on top and bottom reduced by 5, give me 1 and 1. So my second term is now negative 4 over 3. So this problem now becomes subtraction of two fractions. So as you can recall, subtracting fractions, I got to find the LCD, which is 6. So I'm going to write 6 and 6. All right, the old denominator 2 becomes the new LCD 6. We got to go into it 3 times. Or you can say multiply by 3. Numerator times 3 is 3. Old denominator 3 becomes the new 6 times by 2, or 3 going to 6 2 times. Numerator times by 2, which is 2, which is 8. All right, so if I just add and subtract the numerator, this is 3 minus 8. 3 minus 8, term with different sign, we will subtract. So that's why my answer is going to be negative 5 over 6. Why negative? Because I got more negative term than positive. So it'll be negative. All right, this is one of my favorite questions. Very neat. Here is a subtraction sign right here. So what's in front of it is one term. All right, let me show you, okay? I mentioned this before in other modules. Exponent is really whatever that is inside times itself so many times. So this whole first term can be written as 6 over 10 times. So rather than say 1 over 6 whole thing squared, I'm just going to write this thing out as 1 over 6 times 1 over 6. Because that's what 1 over 6 squared means. It times itself 2 times. And the reason why I write it like this, so we can quickly see, hey, the top 6 and one of the bottom 6 can be reduced into 1 and 1. So this whole first term is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1 over 10 times 6, which is 60, minus. Remember now, this negative 6 over 8 is one term. So within one term, I can go ahead and reduce if I want. So if I reduce that, that will give me negative 3 over 4. Okay. Because I would rather have a 4 down here than an 8 when it comes to finding the LCD. Because now the LCD, 60 and 4, I believe 15 times 4 is 60, isn't it? 20. All right. So that's actually just going to be 60. Because 4 can go into 60 15 times 1. So multiply all the outside. The LCD is 60. Now, I can't quite remember whether I ever done this before. Rather than write the LCD 2 different times, I'm just going to write it as 1 time. Because after all the adding and subtracting after I find the equivalent fraction is happening on the numerator. So why do I need to write LCD 2 times? Because both terms share the same denominator. So I'm just going to write it 1 time for right now. 60, the old 60 become the new LCD 60, only going to a 1 time. Numerator times by 1, which is 1. Minus, all right, 4 will become the new 60 times by 15. Numerator times by 15. So 3 times 15, which is 45. So basically, I basically have a, if you write the LCD twice, I basically have a 1 over 60 minus 1. I basically have a 1 over 60 minus 45 over 60, which is the same thing as what I wrote here. 1 minus 45, turn with different sign. We subtract, which will give me a 44, start out with. Since I got more negative term than positive term, my answer will be negative 44 over 60. So now I need to reduce. I'm thinking 4, right? Remember, 4 can go into 60 15 times. So I'm thinking 4 right now. Because 4 going to 44, if I reduce them by 4, that's 11 up top over 15 in the bottom. So my answer, negative 11 over 15. Oh, I love this one too. Because this one brings us back to the little trick I showed y'all before when it comes to combining a whole number with a fraction. Like the mixed number, how we convert it into improper fraction. So all right, plus sign here, subtraction sign here. I got 2 of those signs, so that will be 3 terms. First term is 1/3. Second term is positive 1, whole thing squared. My third term is negative 2/5 divided by 2 3/5. So let's go ahead and figure out. See, the first term is just 1/3, no operation. Second term, positive 1 to the third power means 1 times 1 times 1, which is still positive 1. So now the third term, all right, negative 2/5 divided by a positive 3 over 5. Negative divided by positive number is going to be negative answer. So I'm just going to focus on the fraction part. 2/5 divided by 2 and 3 over 5. So when it comes to dividing mixed number, I got to convert them into a improper fraction, which is 5 times 2 plus 3, 13 over 5. So now division of a fraction means times the reciprocal, 5 over 13. So now the top 5, bottom 13 reduce. My third term turned out to be negative 2 over 13. All right, so what did I mean by the little trick I showed y'all? So back in module 2, I might have done this 1 time before, where whenever you have a whole number combined with a fraction, whole number combined with a fraction, you can always use the same trick as you convert from mixed number to improper fraction. It just speed up the process a little bit. So we take 3 times the 1, which is 3. So now the 1 on top plus a 3 give me 4. LCD is still 3. So 1/3 times 1, 1/3 plus 1 is 4/3. Now minus 2 over 13. So the LCD between 3 and 13 got to be 39. So I'm just going to write it 1 time. 3 going to the new 39, increase by 13 times or times by 13. 4 times 13, 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 plus 1 that we carry is 5 minus 13 going to 39 is only 3 times, so numerator times by 3, which is 6. So my subtraction is only going to end up to be 52 minus 6, which is 46, right? 46 over 39. All right. Can this be reduced? Well, I know 3 can go into 39 13 times, right? Just like what we have up here. 46, if I reduce 46 by 2, that will be 2 going to 4 2 times, 2 going to 6 3 times. So that's 2 times 23, which there's no common factor for me to reduce. So this problem cannot be reduced. My answer, 46 over 39. So basically, from the order, when we did the order operation before for module 1 and 2, the way we did it is to help you to understand how we can use terms, okay, to actually use to actually do the order operation. So ever since module 1.7, I've been kind of introducing the concept of terms. That's the reason why I do a lot of highlighting back in module 1.7. So if you watch those videos back then, hopefully when you do order operation involving with negative, it's not as difficult. All right, so that will conclude this lecture video on order operation with the real numbers. Thank you for watching.